Hi, I'm Ashley Gent. I'm a veterinary technician student, and today I will be discussing how to create a technique chart. A technique chart is a table with predetermined settings that enables the radiographer to select the correct machine settings based on the thickness of tissue and the anatomical portion of the body to be radiographed. It is an essential component for obtaining diagnostic quality images in a consistent way, as well as limiting waste and increasing safety by reducing repeated exposures. At my practice, we are currently using the generic technique chart that was supplied with the purchase of our X-ray unit. It is important to keep in mind that these generic charts are just suggested starting point, and that a set of customized technique charts specific to each X-ray unit must be constructed due to the inherent variables of each imaging system and various species and anatomical differences. One method of creating a technique chart is using a radiography logbook. Because a logbook entry must be completed for every patient radiographed and must include the patient's name, identifiers, the views taken, the measurements, and the technical factors, this data could be used to create a technique chart. This is a good idea for exotics, but it is inefficient for dogs, cats, and large animals. The technique chart we are going to create today is a variable KVP chart formulated using a series of trial and error exposures. It is necessary to standardize as many variable factors as possible before starting the trial exposures. Once this is done, you will need to select an appropriate patient. An average sized dog, so one that is about 40 to 50 pounds and has a lateral abdominal measurement of 15 centimeters, with a clean coat and that's either calm or anesthetized, is an ideal candidate. The patient should be placed on the table in lateral recumbency. However, Huck does not want to get on the table. You would lay him in lateral recumbency and measure at approximately the 12th rib using calipers. It is important to measure the patient while in the same position used for the radiograph. If our patient were measured while standing, the tissue thickness would be greater than when the animal is recumbent. The initial technique chart will be constructed for abdominal settings, but theoretically other anatomical regions can be extrapolated from this chart, although ideally you would create a new series of trial and error exposures for each anatomical region. The exposure factors to keep in mind are exposure time, milliamps, and kilovolts. As the milliamperage increases, the temperature of the filament is increased, producing more electrons. The period of time allowed for electrons to leave the X-ray tube is divided into fractions of a second. The number of electrons and period set for release determine how many X-rays are available and is abbreviated MAS. When the MAS setting is increased, radiographic density is increased, resulting in greater film blackness. When the MAS setting is decreased, the radiographic density is reduced, resulting in a lighter film. The kilovoltage regulates the energy the X-ray beams. Increased voltages produce X-rays with greater penetrating power and intensity, resulting in more X-rays reaching the film. High KVP creates long-scale contrast, or many shades of gray, which is labeled low contrast, and low KVP creates short-scale contrast, or blacks and whites, which is labeled as high contrast. Okay, from here we will use Sante's rule to determine the starting point for our KVP. Sante's rule is a calculation for determining the approximate value, or the approximate KVP for a given exposure by taking the tissue thickness in centimeters, multiplying by 2, then adding the source to image receptor distance plus the grid factor. The grid is factored in for thicknesses greater than 10 centimeters, so we will be using it in our calculations today. Because our patient is 15 centimeters, our SID is 40, and our grid factor is 8, we will start our KVP at 78. We will use an MAS setting of 7.5 for the abdominal readings. After the initial film is ready, it needs to be evaluated for density and contrast. If technique modifications are necessary, use the 15% rule to obtain the ideal diagnostic image. If the radiograph is too dark, decrease the KVP by 15%. If the radiograph is too light, increase the KVP by 15%. Once you are close to a properly exposed radiograph, adjust the KVP in 5% increments until your exposure is just right. Once the best film is selected, you can begin to formulate the technique chart by creating a table to fill in the KVP and MAS values for each centimeter increment of thickness. You'll subtract 2 KVP for every 1 centimeter decrease from the original measurement and add 2 KVP for every 1 centimeter increase up to 80 KVP. Then from 80 kVp to 100 kVp, add 3 kVp for each centimeter increase, and from 100 kVp to 125 kVp, you'll add 4 kVp for each centimeter. So let's say our ideal exposure had a kVp of 76. We would then fill in our chart accordingly. And that is how you would create a technique chart to use for your radiology department. Thank you.